to kind of take it over. So I am hoping that a lot of you have already been in the last session. So, but still, we will quickly go through the prior slides so that, for the people who were not there earlier, they can have an idea, what we are talking about. I hope everyone can hear me because I have, okay, yeah. Yeah, now when people are responding, so I can assume that people are listening. So, I, as with a lot of the people in Hyderabad and a lot of people joining CGC sessions as well. We do see a lot of people from IT background. I'm not from IT background, but I am hopeful. I'll try and when giving examples to try and make it relevant to people from IT background as well. So this gives me a good idea. We've got more of IT folks. So, and the good part is, we have got again a good mix of people with varied experience, right, from a couple of years experience to a couple of decades of experience. So, for the people with good experience, I would welcome people sharing in their experience as well. So a little bit about CGC. So CGC is Career Guidance Council is a registered and non-profit organization, so providing a platform for students and industry professionals to discuss and share experiences. So this will help students, community in securing a bright future, and also now people in a mid-level career to grow in their further career. We also reach out to schools, colleges, and all levels to help students and professionals understand the importance of education through proper guidance and planning. So so coming on to session, as we said, we'll do a little bit of a recap. So the whole idea is, people are and who have been SMEs for a few years, they try and understand, what is required to be into management. For example, what is it? They are obviously, regular assessments, depending on, which sort of industry you are in. Uh, so people can start and having an idea that basically change in that mindset. How do I think like a boss? Because a lot of it, people who have a few years of experience, say you are an analyst, senior analyst, you're a consultant, you're a SME, subject matter expert, but you always think about, what is required for me to have that thought process of a manager. How do I make myself, understand and also develop the skills which are required for me to grow in my career? First and foremost, we talk about leadership skills. So we went through it in our last session, and we also have your ability to manage team, because if you are going into management, you got to have the team management skills, your achievement orientation, because obviously we have all got deliverables. So be it in whichever field you are, your ability to manage people, your ability to deliver are the key criterias for you to become successful. Your analytical thinking, your problem solving and decision making thinking thing, and also your customer centricity, because ultimately we are serving internal or external customers. So it's always good to have what a customer's perspective is and how do we understand it. So I'll try and make it quick, because in case we have people who were not there in our last session. So leadership skills, clarifies and delegates team goals, roles, and responsibilities. So this we have talked about it. Even if you are an SME and you do not actually have to start thinking about it. Be it I always remember this example. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Indra Nui. She was the head of TICO. So she's actually from Chennai. So this lady, when she was from Chennai, and how did you end up managing one of the biggest fast food, food companies in the world? So she said, like, leadership and inquiry, sense of solution oriented. If I am in that role, what would be my understanding of things? So always, even if you don't have a designation, you are a member team, I have a 20-member team. How do, if I was in this position, how am I doing it? And when your assessment is happening, be it in your panel interview, be it in your case study, be it in your video interview, whatever is coming up, always people are trying to see if you are a management material. So whenever you're talking about it, so have that clarity in your mind that helps you to be in that role. So second one, participative style. So remember, everybody in our teams have huddle as well. So if your team huddles simply look like your manager coming in and telling guys, this is the plan for today and this is the important update, and start. But it is kind of the top down approach, so try and make it more interactive. If you are an SME, you try and take everybody's kind of opinion included as well. Resolving differences, so one of the important qualities of a leader, of a manager, is that there will be differences of opinion in intra team and also inter dependency of different teams. So you are the solution guy. So people should be looking at you to provide solutions, so not like problem. So don't solve the problem. Think a step ahead and think about this is the problem and what are the possible solutions. Okay, able to work in a group, because this is very important. We do find people who will come in and they have been doing it for years. Tell me what to do. I'll come to office, I'll slog my hours, and assign me, and I'll come in and I'll do it and I'll go. I don't want to speak to anyone. I don't want to involve into these activities. I don't want to involve in any training and development activities. Then I don't like usually speaking small chat and small talk. These are not kind of, that you're not kind of a team player and not considered a leadership material. So a good team leader is a good team member. So it's your ability to work in groups. Support involves team members, integrates contribution, and works towards team objective. This is a given, right? So everybody is ultimately working towards a common goal. Develops a cooperative team spirit, focuses on end result. So very important, not getting into all the nitty-gritties and differences, but focusing only on the end goal. Appreciates other achievements. This we last session as well, we were having this issue where people were talking about it. I don't feel appreciated, my manager never looks at me, and what do I do? you know uh, you take the ownership and appreciate people, right? Everybody is now works in a team, has a group chat, group team. You're doing huddles. If you feel that you need, somebody is doing a good job, appreciate other team members as well. So it can be from top down or bottom up as well. So it need not be, nowadays we live in a very non hierarchical working environment. So do not limit yourself that you are not getting appreciated. You take the initiative and appreciate people. Positive body language and empathetic, we talked about it at length. This is the most important attribute. We also have to have that positive attitude, right? When you're going into office, when people look at you, they should feel that this is a guy who gets things done. He has this smile on his face. He has always that, go to spirit when he start, and when you look at him, and when he starts speaking as well, the words are used are positive, right? For example, instead of using when you're saying you did a good job, instead of you can say like you did an awesome job. Person will come and ask you questions. If you are always thinking among in yourself, and you're like you're too preoccupied, then that's I always think about it this way. I look at my senior leadership and think like, how are they behaving, how do they dress, how do they talk to people, and how do they send out the non verbal what do I say, signals they are sending in. Empathy, we talked about it, right? So understanding everybody's perspective, driving organizational values by exemplifying self. This is how you define, do you exemplify them, and do you incorporate them, and then you're able to exemplify them. Team management, objectives by allocating resources and tasks based on people's skill sets. Uh, this one, I think I would like to take a few minutes and talk about it. We talked about IQ, emotional, intelligent quotient. We talked about EQ, emotional quotient. Being a team manager and being a person dealing with customers and management, you need to understand people. So we always talk about, there are four types of people. They are task oriented people. Task oriented people are like, I have to get this thing done. I don't that much care about, the process. I tweak the processes a little bit. I people feel about, that you're pushing people too much, or you are, ticking all the boxes, but I want to get job done. So if people want to take note of it, please do. Task oriented people, they is they want the job done. They are the people who are relationship oriented. These are the kind of people, you notice it in your management, in your colleagues, and also in your customers. These are the kind of people, they always ask you, how are you, how are you doing, how are you feeling, what did you do over your weekend, how your kids, how what are you doing over the weekend. These are the kind of people who are relationship oriented. So if you go and talk to a person, a task oriented people about relationships, he will say, I don't care about relationship, I care about my task getting done or not. If you go and talk to a relationship oriented people only about task, they'll like, you're not talking about how people are feeling, the emotional kind of people. Then you have got those, did you tick all the boxes? They are like tick box. All the steps are properly followed. Getting the work done is not the only important thing. Having relationships is not the important thing, but are you following all the processes? These are the process oriented people. And the other people are like, analytical oriented people. They they are kind of the perfection members. How many people do you have? Or when you have a boss, think about it, what sort of a person he is, and you talk to them and allocate work, and be it customer as well, what sort of a customer do you have. So whenever you're speaking to all of these people, you talk to them thinking, firstly, am I a relationship oriented people? Am I a task oriented people? Am I a relationship oriented people? Am I analytical person? Or am I a process oriented person? Then you understand what the other people are, and work with people accordingly. We talked about it, the simple example, 5 fingers. Everybody has different skill sets, so you utilize them the same way. And when your assessments are happening, when your panel is happening, they will give you those scenarios. Or if it is a open-ended questions, it's even better. You can put in that structure saying that, XY in my team is, task oriented. I'll give them this production tracker. Z is my accuracy guy, so I'll put him as a QC person. So you have to have those structure in your assessment, in your panel, in your video interview, or whatever is happening in your case study. Tendency of an individual to manage team members to achieve team objectives. Very important thing. At the end of the day, we are there as a to meet. For example, you're developing some software, you are troubleshooting something. You cannot be a very nice team leader. You cannot be a very relationship oriented people, and your customer loves you, your management loves you, but you're not able to meet your deliverables. So that is not a very good attribute to have. Achievement orientation, we talked about it, degree to which the individual can pursue any task to a successful and carry through accomplishments, accomplish the required result in the face of adversity. Everybody will have challenges. For example, we will have people challenges, right? Not all of your people perform at the optimum level. You will have technology challenges which you haven't foreseen, but how you able to manage them. So again, think about it on a daily basis. What I think is, how are other people managing it? How is my manager managing it? And keeping it ready in your thought process. If any maintains high quality standards within team, is driven and accountable to achieve the organizational goals. Key attributes we discussed at length, so I will not go in detail. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to chip in. Analytical thinking, I think this is where we were there, right? So if anybody wants to jump in, and I don't know if we went into detail, and I would like people to, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in chat. And one thing I will write, see, the whole idea, I think I didn't do it last session, right? A lot of this gyan, you can get it on YouTube, right? So the advantage of having a session over here is that we can make it more interactive, and people can ask any questions if you have, or please feel free to share your experiences as well. And if people have, if people want to connect separately and want to discuss, this is where I stand, what do I need to do for kind of one-on-one counseling, please feel free to WhatsApp me on my number. I've put in it in the chat window. Seven. So I've okay, sorry, I have to put it in so that everybody can see it. All right, there we go. How to gauge a person's style with first interaction. So what is it people are talking about? So I'll give you examples. So how many of us go in and interview people? um, for example, you imagine a situation, remember a time when we used to go in as a fresher, or walking into an MNC, and they take this jam route, just a minute. They used to take 1 minute, and then they used to, half of the people would be sent out, saying that, they cannot even talk about themselves for a minute. So you figure it out. For example, if somebody is starting with facts and figures, they are people with analytical approach. When people are talking about, their about their life, about emotional experiences, say for example, how you doing, how you feeling, those are, relationship oriented people. They are people who talk about, process. Did we do this? I did this after doing my education. I worked this much time, and this is how my career went. So So they are talking in detail about process. Those are process oriented people. And same as, task oriented people, they talk about only the achievement. They said like, I did this, and this is what I want to be done. And especially when you are in a team, I want you to start doing this exercise. Like everything, be it your communication skills, be it your public speaking skills, be it your leadership skills, management skills, they come with practice. So don't think about, I want to know everything about everyone in a one go. It will come to you with experience. Start doing this exercise in your team. Say you're part of a 10-member team, 20-member team. Think about them, or 2 3 4 member team. You know what sort of a person your friends are, or start thinking about your friends. Which a friend of mine is, what type of a person he is. Same with your customers, same with your management. Think about, what sort of a person your boss is. If you know what sort of a person your boss is, it will clarify a lot of things. Last time around as well, we had a lot of these questions where people were asking, my boss or my management doesn't appreciate what I do. I don't get the clarity of my future, or what do I do. So you start understanding other people's perspective. I think this will give us more clarity on those items. Okay. So any more questions before we move on to the next part of the session? We have got now 13 14 people joining in. And if for the people who have joined in late, can we have your number of years of experience, and also your designation? So that way, I want to get an idea about the sort of people I'm speaking to, because as of now we have got lots of IT people. So I'll try and give my examples which are more familiar to IT guys. So, what are the facts to management to appreciate them? Hmm, I am sorry, I didn't get this one. So if my understanding is correct, what do I do to get myself appreciated? I'm thinking from, or gain recognition, or gain, to show my existence in front of management. So always, first thing first, have this understanding. A lot of us are work in huge MNCs, right? Firstly, we need to stop thinking that my life is my team only. They are multiple teams. They are multiple. Your boss also has a boss, so there's a whole management structure, and within the organization, there are different things to be involved in. So always start getting yourself involved into other activities. If it is firstly our mindset. If we think that if I go get my deliverables, that means is like that what you are doing is for your current role. So if you want to start getting recognition, and want to gain visibility in front of everyone, get involved into other activities. One of the important ones is in HR and training. What are the other HR activities which give you the opportunity to interact with a lot of other people, be it other team members, be it management, or training activities as well. We every organization has this new project coming in, new training, be the spock for interacting with other departments, involved in other HR activities. Go and above and beyond of what your limited deliverables are. That will give you more appreciation, visibility, and that will improve your interpersonal skills, people skills, leadership skills. All of these things. So this is on that aspect. So please feel free writing in the chat box, and I'll keep going in there for any questions, and we'll try and make it more interactive as well. And does anybody have anything would like to share? What is it? How do we get appreciation from management or gain get recognition or get noticed. Shoaib bhai or anyone would or people, we have got people with decades of experience in the chat as well. Please feel free to share your experience. No, okay, we'll park it in the end. So we will get on with our PPT. So analytical thinking, one of the most important quality of a manager, of a leader, is that that person has a analytical approach to everything, builds a logical approach to address problems or opportunities. So, for example, not being subjective. If you're having any issue or an opportunity, so you always think about not from a subjective point of view, but being objective. Uh, so think about. I think we'll complete this one. So manage a situation by drawing on knowledge, experience, and other references and resources as needed. For example, this is where our knowledge of, because we are assuming that everybody is already a subject matter expert, right? We have the knowledge, we have the experience, and we have the other references and resources. Apart from our subject knowledge, where do we get the other resources and references? There's this very important and famous saying that, right, leaders are readers. So always develop this habit about how do other and famous leaders develop their kind of sharing their experience. For example, you can go back and read about all the famous CEOs and read about how do they are people, right? They always keep sharing their experiences. We hear a lot of tidbits about lots of famous CEOs. For example, Steve Jobs has a particular uh, way of managing a problem. Or for example, I read that the what is his name, Tim Cook, the present CEO of Apple. He says that I have this habit of going through 700 emails a day, and then before I start my day. So how are these people managing and allocating their work? How are when you look at say for example, uh, Bill Gates has this famous thinking saying that I found the most important feedback from my customers who were not happy with me, and I take that feedback in a very positive manner. So when we are referencing and when we are reading every day uh, about business leaders, about the successful companies, about management approaches, and about observing other people in our organization as well, we can get a lot of insight to how to go about things. So very important having this analytical approach. Thinks of several possible explanations or alternatives for a situation, anticipates potential obstacles, develops contingency plans to overcome them. Uh, I always think about it this way. All of us use Google Maps. So when we look at it, say for example, you put it on map, I have to go from this place to this place, and it gives you two options, 2 to 3 options, and it will show you that one, the straight line when you're going in between the city, even though the kilometers is less, but there's heavy traffic. And it gives you the other option. It shows that you are avoiding the heavy traffic, so the kilometers are longer, but you will reach the destination faster because there is less traffic in this area. And it gives you the third option. It will show you that mark, it is showing that road is temporarily closed in this area. So that kind of you have to draw a map in your mind as well in all the activities you're doing. So always, for example, your daily target, your weekly target, or any project you're working in, you have to have that clarity. Was if I am going to do it, what sort of obstacles, what are the resources I would require? Do the people I have the technical knowledge, have the adequate technical skills? Do I have the technological resources available to me? Do I have all the things which are required, and what are the potential obstacles? Will I face any people challenges? Will I face any technological challenges? How is my customer? So you are able to think about those plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D, and develop contingency meaning, I give this very simple example, right? If we think about, for example, if this plan A doesn't work, you're relying on one important person. Remember when we were talking about how we are organizing and thinking about people's orientation, your colleagues, your customers, how their orientation is? Are they customer? Are they relationship oriented, process oriented? So you also need to know, which team members of yours are good at a certain um activity, and who is the backup if that person is not able to do it. So do you have that execution capability and having that contingency, be it for timeliness, be it for ultimate delivery of the project or any other thing, and plan to overcome it? So you still have it in your mind, okay, and put it down on a paper and figure it out, how do we do it? Analyzes data to draw logical conclusions, capture main points without distortion. So this is very important, analysis of data. Whatever we do, it's not good enough that we ask, and it is important in when you're being asked in your assessment, in your panel or anything. If you in my organization, when we are selecting people for management level role, we ask people a very simple open-ended question, and you are given 10-15 minutes. And when you're given 15 minutes, the expectation is you're at least talking 10 minutes out of it. Two-thirds of the allocated time you're talking about it, and you have a structure to your, say, if you're writing a case study, you have a structure, your introduction, your body, your summary. When you're talking about it as well, you're able to provide a context, you're able to provide detail, your plan, your contingency plan, your resource allocation, and your summary. And everything should be backed by data. For example, the question would be, give us a, share with us an experience you had where your customer was not happy, you were short on resources, and you had a technological challenge, and you had a disagreement in your team. How to manage that particular project, and how did you go about it? So you cannot go and just say, oh, I had lots of problems. This is one of the important, very funny answer. When we all, this is one of the questions people ask. Tell us about your experience where you had differences with your colleagues or with your customer or management, and how did you overcome it? The simple answer is, oh, I never had any disagreement with my management and colleagues. I am a very good team player. So that is not the question people are looking at. They are looking at your data of how you're able to put numbers, because we everything is about facts and numbers, right? We are not in the creative field where we only putting up a story. So think about it, whenever we are giving a problem, if it is not even talking about it, how do we construct a story about it? But everybody is looking at data and how you're drawing conclusions with having a bullet points into your discussion or in your case study. Problem solving and decision making, degree to which an individual adapts a solution oriented approach to solve problems smartly. So remember, we talked about it. No matter what the problem is, we are breaking, we are segregating. Say for example, you have got a project which is running behind. So it cannot be that you have all the problems at one go. For example, you cannot have people problem, you cannot have technology problem, you cannot have a knowledge gap and everything at a go. So it cannot be all a load. So you need to firstly understand what are the things which are working well, and then what are the things which require your focus, and then you are focusing on that item to solve your problem. So that, again, remember when we were talking about it, having the clarity of thought is very important. Tendency to come up with creative, effective, practical, and spontaneous actions and solution faced at work or by oneself. So this is important, right? So every day we go in, we have problems. So people who aspire to be in management and people who have those leadership skills, they are solution oriented. They will figure it out that how to get a problem solved. And not only about raising your hands and saying that, oh, I don't know, what do I do, I have only this problem. Say for example, right, a lot of us are now working, we are into work from home mode, right? So a lot of challenges we would not face in office, we face them in working from home. For example, you have emailed somebody to get some work done, but the problem now from working from home is we need to understand that how do I make sure that I am communicating properly with everyone, and there is nothing like over communication. So am I able to connect with the same person on, say, social media or on WhatsApp or any other way, or calling him up as well separately? Maybe he hasn't seen, because people, we everybody gets a lot of emails, right? This is practical situation I face, and this is how I deal with it. Every day I get this issue where people, I have this urgent work and I send a group email, and people who don't respond, the answer I get from them is, boss, I didn't check my email, I'm running behind on my emails, I usually check only my emails only in the start of the day or end of the day. So what do you want me to do? So I should know, how do I overcome them? So I push it on WhatsApp groups as well, and I know the people who usually don't even check their social media. So those people, I have to call them up to follow up what is happening. And say for example, you're having problem with your nowadays, we are having this unusual issues of power cuts. We never face them in our offices, right? Because we used to have backup generator and stuff. So even for this Zoom call, right? Now I have this backup plan from my broadband. I always join with my laptop, and from my phone I join using mobile data. So that way I have seamless communication. So you think about it and you come up with creative solutions. So you cannot say that, boss, what do I do? I was in a meeting, I cannot run my meetings because from work from home my power is going away. So you have those backup plans. You figure out how do you communicate, how do you come with solutions. Ability to define complex problems and situations clearly and objectively, Dyson's subtle relationship among complex situations, events, or ideas to suggest possible solutions. Like we talked about it, right? So always whenever you see a problem, don't think and say like, oh, there is a problem, I don't know, what do I do? You break it up, you write down, and then tick what is working well and what is not working well, and then you go in. I'm sure a lot of you have attended the Lean Six Sigma sessions done by Abdullah a couple of weeks back. They always talk about it, right? Why? Go into a problem, identify it, why that problem is coming in, and deep dive into it. So for every complex problem, you segregate it, and then you focus on the problem areas. So you need not focus, you because you are only one person, so you cannot focus on all the things all the time together. So you need to figure out where the problems are, and then come up with solutions. Analytical approach, we talked about it, degree to which one is driven by data and facts rather than intuitive thinking. Intuitive thinking is like, you have it in your mind that this is how it needs to be done, but you are having facts and data to back up your plan. And this is really important whenever we are presenting um, in a team huddle, in a when you're writing an email, when you are speaking to customer, when you're speaking to management. Remember, we talked about different type of people. We talked about relationship oriented people, we talked about process oriented people, we talked about task oriented people. The best um, the best quality of people is considered to have a mix of all of them, but the focus should be on analytical type of people. So whenever you're writing an email, give data and facts. Whenever you're speaking, speak with numbers, speak with facts. Whenever you're writing a report, write data in it and numbers in it. And whenever you are doing a panel interview, it's important. So whenever we start talking, they should be numbers involved into it. So it cannot be, for example, if somebody is telling you that next by next weekend I want you to finish this project, and you just say that, oh, okay, I'll do it by end of the week. So that doesn't give confidence to either customer or to management or to your team members. So you provide a little bit of detail. I have to finish by end of this week this project. So my plan to complete 30%, to get an overview on Monday, and plan do the everybody is familiar with the Pareto rule. 80% of your time is spent on the 20% of the problem, and 80% of the work is easy, which you can do it in 20% of your time. People can write in chat. So what did Pareto rule means? It people can Google it as well. 80% of your work requires 20% of your time, and 20% of your complex work requires your 80% of your time. So how do you go about it? So you have to figure it out in your work, which are the easy bits. And if your management, if your customer is focused on task orientation, they want it done, so you do the easier 80% in your 20% time, so that everybody is kind of reassured that you have done major chunk of it. And then your 80% of your time you're figuring out the complex part. So you have to have that data driven approach, and that facts and numbers whenever you're talking, you're emailing, you're presenting a case study, or you're doing a panel or video or whatever. So carefully analyzes all available information and data, interprets it, and make an informed decision. So remember, when we are having anything to do with it, put pen to paper, write it down, what the challenges you may face, the resource allocation, the data thing you have, and come up with solution. And this is very critical for people who are in SME positions as well. Never think that your manager will not appreciate your feedback. We get this a lot of times. My manager never asked me anything, what do you want me to do? I never had this experience. I never am leading a team huddle. I never speak to a customer. You can have or for example, this is a very good one. I find it very funny, and I would like people to share their experience as well. We have this big team town halls where senior management comes in and they speak about it, and they ask questions, and 90%, 95% of the people are just too quiet. They will never ask anything, they will never have anything, and afterwards they keep telling you, oh, I never get an opportunity of anything. So whenever we are, make this habit in your team huddle. Whenever you're going to speak, when you get that opportunity, you can reiterate, you can come up with facts and numbers. Whenever you're speaking to management, whenever you're speaking to customer, have that question ready, have that informed answer ready, so that it showcases you. A lot of people always talk about it, how do I get myself exposure? These are the things when you're talking, when you're emailing, when you are presenting any, when you're talking in a huddle, or whenever, those approaches, those times comes in, right? When your boss is not there and your boss's boss or anybody from outside comes in, when you're talking to them, when you talk in an analytical way, when you have a structure to your work, then people will come and to you for answers, and that is how you grow in terms of your people skills, your exposure, and your leadership skills. Planning and organization prioritizes activities and analyzes alternatives. This is very important. We start the week and we discuss that this is the priority for my week. uh, and we get it a lot of times. I get it from my people who have been in my teams for 5-10 years as well. They tell me in the middle of the week, I come in and I say, boss, I need you to do this, and they will come and say, what is this, Aslam? You told me start of the week this is what I need to do. Now you come and tell me I have to prioritize, I have to do this. So we need to understand what is our priority. First of all, if we have a internal customer or external customer or management, we need to be able to understand, okay, if I was told to do this thing, but now when I got an escalation or a priority, I need to know what is important for me. And I have this very good important thing called a 1 minute rule, and I ask all my team members to go through it. For example, I get 100 emails every day from internal customers, external customers, and whatnot all. So what I try to do is, I have this rule that I only do things which only I can do, otherwise I delegate. Because my thought process is, why do I have 20-30 team members if I have to do everything in it? And the 1 minute rule I have is, I think about it, can I reply or work on this email within a minute? If that is possible, I do it then and there. I do not postpone it. So this is the prioritization, right? When you're going through your email start of the day, I think about it, do I delegate it, and when do I follow it up, and how do I get things done? So customer priority, management priority, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. So I am flexible all the time. I got this question, what are the facts to handle, I'm sorry, customers and give to introduce to our company? I am sorry. I need a little bit more structured question. I'll try and answer it later on. So optimizes resources available. Uh, very important thing. We don't have ideal situation, right? We get this all the time. That remember we talked about it. We have in our teams, we have people who are very good at accuracy, and there are people who are task oriented, who will do their work on time, or they'll give the productivity of 120%, 150%. So you need to know which person do I allow align to certain work and optimize that person. Say for example, your expectation from the person who gives you 100% to a 50% accuracy is to give 100% accuracy, then you're not optimizing it. And you're expecting the person who gives you 100% accuracy to give 100% productivity or 150% productivity. That is not the ideal scenario. So you need to know what the people's strengths are, and then you're optimizing those people's strengths. Contingency planning to facilitate execution and aligns plan with time and quality parameters. Contingency, we talked about it. So don't divide it. We give this example, right? So you have to say process 100 invoices in a week. So 100 divided by 5 is equal to 20. So 20 into 5, you do 100. That is the ideal world. But in reality it doesn't work, because you don't have the required number of people, because people fall sick, people don't show up in office, you'll have technology issues, and you will have a lot of obstacles or problems. So you have to have contingency. So ideally you always plan it in such a way that there are two things we always talk about it. external target and internal target, and they are always never the same. So some example, you have to deliver something to a customer or to management, you always have that buffer time, your buffer people, your buffer technology, to make sure, for example, you have to deliver it on Friday, you set an internal target of Thursday, to make sure that anything doesn't go as planned, you still have time, contingency, to make sure. We call it buffer. And same with resources. Say for example, you can never have a very critical resource without whom the process doesn't work. And when you're presenting it in your again case study or in your panel or something, make sure that you are incorporating these points into it. And obviously, timeliness is the key, right? They are always due dates to meet, and they are quality parameters. So we always need to be careful about these things. Okay. Planning and execution, degree to which an individual drives performance by making plans to meet defined objectives. Remember, we talked about plan. We always have to have a plan. I heard this management strategy that for the people who start the day with a plan. For example, in the start of the day, you draw a plan, like, these are my main deliverables for the day, so I need to work on them. Those are the kind of people who accomplish more out of their day. So very important thing. uh, Guys, please pardon me, my boss is calling, so I need to pick up this call. I am really sorry. So when remember, we were just talking about priority. So when your boss calls, you never let that call go. So that is priority. uh, Prioritization right in front of you with example. So organizes information and resources effectively, prioritizes tasks according to their urgency and importance thereby. So builds in contingency plans accordingly. So please feel free to ask any questions anybody has. Uh, Planning and organization prioritizes activities and analyzes alternatives. Uh, Optimizes resources available, contingency planning, and facilitate execution and aligns plans with time and quality parameters. So these are the ones. Anybody has any questions on planning and organization? So this is when I have this analysis when my team member are not performing well in their management assessments. This is one of the areas I feel that when they are doing their panel interview, or when they are doing their case study, or when they are doing their video interview, I feel that a lot of my team members are not able to articulate their planning, their contingency, their resource allocation, their timeliness and accuracy parameters. So whenever you're given an open-ended question or anything, so start thinking about it and incorporate in your daily work as well, that you are incorporating these things, and you're properly presenting it. Even if you're not given, if you're given a open-ended question, and if you're given 30 minutes to explain it, so you use your creative powers and try and explain it. And every day in our lives as well, we need to come up with those solutions. Customer centricity, you know uh, very important thing, right? We all have ultimately we have customers, internal customers or external customers. So we have to have that approach of looking it from their perspective. We have to understand what is it that our end customer wants. It's not always that from my perspective. Remember, we talked about it, how our customers always complain that even though we delivered 99.9%, they are always hung up on that 0.01% deficiency that we did not meet. So we have to have that orientation. So, what is my customer thinking, and how do I align my thinking with their thinking? Creates mutually beneficial resolution to problems, ensures realistic commitment to the customer, and at the same time that can push back. For example, we cannot always say yes, yes, and not deliver. So we have to be realistic in our point as well. So say for example, if you're doing something and customer has asked you to do some work and you're 110% involved into it, and they come up and they say, can you deliver 200% on it? Then you have to be able to say, boss, this is what I'm doing, and this is what my priority as discussed and agreed uh, is the thing, and I do not have the resources or the time to do it. Please advise, what do you want me to prioritize? So you have to have that clarity, and you need to be able to push back. You cannot always say yes, 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 yes. Say for example, you're working 8 hours, your team is working 8 hours, and then you're extending for 12 hours, and then your customer comes back and you say, can you do 20 hours? They'll not say it on face, but are you able to get that thing done? uh, I would like. I'm really sorry. I am having some escalation, so I had to quickly go back over there. Uh, Anybody has any questions on anything we have done so far? Ensures realistic commitments to customer, at the same time can push back customer understanding. Degree to which an individual is willing to go out of her way to ensure customer satisfaction, listens carefully, understand others' perspective, and adapts her communication to suit the other person. Customer service, a degree to which one can successfully provide effective service to customers to ensure customer satisfaction. So these are things if anybody has questions with examples, we can discuss them. Tends to be highly adaptable, changing his or approach based on customer and he or she is interacting with. So this is really important for everyone, that we are adaptable. Remember, we talked about different types of people. They are same customers as well, so we need to understand what sort of people my customer is, and you are adapting to it, and not the other way around. The customer is not going to adapt to your way of thinking. So we need to be able to adapt to customers perspective. So by this we come to questions. If anybody has any questions, please you can either ask them or write in the chat window.